here we are again. We're back at Pat Wallach's home, and we are going to learn today how to make table centerpieces for your holiday gatherings. Hopefully we have some different news as we approach closer to Christmas, but as we look at it now, we're going to just do everything we can to create the holiday spirit in our home. So this is a great opportunity for us again to visit Pat and her cohort, Joan Nielsen, to show us how to make table centerpieces. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you very much, Linda. I'm going to show you, first of all, the kinds of arrangements that I've been making. I make a good number of them to sell to the ladies at my church, and they still keep ordering them. I've made a lot, and we have a virtual sale tomorrow where they come and pick up their flower arrangements. These are the two typical types here with silk poinsettias in them. I make them either way with different colors of candles. Then there is this one here that I wanted to show you. This is Joan's way of doing it. She does it slightly differently than I do, and you'll be able to see that when she makes hers on the table. And this is the kind of arrangement that's become very popular, and it takes not much material, and most of it you can just find yourself around your yard or in other people's yards. And I can show you how to make the other little additions that we put in. It's become very popular because it's more natural than this kind of arrangement, as you can see. So Joan and I will show you at the table how to put together our two different types. So Joan, I'll start by showing you some of the things that I used in the more elaborate, more glitzy type of table arrangement. These are the poinsettias that I get at a Dollarama or at a dollar store, and I just separate them. They're usually quite squished, as you can see, and put them over a kettle that's boiling, and they just smarten right up, and they end up looking like this, which is very nice. It takes only a few seconds over the heat and the steam to make them look good. So these you can get in white and red and at the dollar store, but do go in November because they're really picked up quickly. I also got some at Michael's when they had 2 for 1, but otherwise the cost is just phenomenal there. Now in those more elaborate, fancier arrangements, I also get these at the dollar store, little drums and also little presents like this, and put a hole in the bottom and put a piece of wire in, and they work very well for putting in the arrangements. Another thing that the dollar store has are the little birds, and everybody loves to get the little birds. And there again, some of them have got wires in them. Others I have to just put wire around their feet and put a stick on the bottom. Now these are from the wholesaler, the sticks. You may not have that opportunity, but as Joan said, you could use the skewers from barbecuing and just break them off and wire them on yourself. That works very well. Other things, bows. I make bows as well and tie them onto a stick, like so. And every one of my pieces has got a stick on it because then people can take it apart after. Well, some people, not till March, bring me the pieces back. Many of the ladies at church do that. And then I reuse them. Joan does it differently. She uses a glue gun to put hers together, and that does make it more difficult to take apart. But I do want the pieces back if possible, because things like this, which I used to be able to buy, clusters all made up on wires, are just not available anymore. I've been looking everywhere. At the wholesalers, very few can be bought even, and they used to be at all of the different locations used to have them, the dollar stores and everywhere. Another thing that I do also, and that I will be using, are pine cones, easy to find. The little wee ones I use in my arrangement with just the berries because they look rather neat the way they're arranged. And you could put a wire around them and just wire them in and make your own like that. Or I take my electric drill and drill a hole in and put the wire in with a glue gun, and then they're permanent and people just pull them out and give them back to me. They can be also glittered if you want to do anything fancy with them. Another thing you can get are these little balls at the dollar store and put them onto a spike, and they work very nicely in arrangements. I will show you now what I do for the arrangement that I'm going to be demonstrating. I'll just put this away. Now at Michael's, they do have lots of these stems. And again, middle of November, they were selling them 2 for 1. Before that, it was buy 2 and get 1 free. But these I bought right away as soon as they went on 2 for 1. And you just tear these pieces off and put your spike on them and use them in the arrangements, as I will do in the next little while. And each of them comes out like so, and they make the nice pairs that I'll be using, and then some of the singles that I'll be using as well. I showed you how to make the pine cones on a wire, and we'll be using those as well. Now to start, I'll show you this. Very first thing to do is, if you have cans from tuna or cat food, they work perfectly for a very small arrangement. And nowadays, when there might just be 2 people at your table, this would be great. Tuna can and some of the floral foam cut to fit inside. Soak it well because it has to have lots of water in it. And this is also a great little craft for children, and I did it with grade 3 children. They could all do it, and they took something home. They were thrilled to death with them. They thought it was wonderful. And all you need to do to buy is the candle and a bit of floral foam. The floral foam is also available at Dollarama or the dollar stores, and you just cut it to shape. Actually, it's very easy to cut it to shape. You turn the can upside down on a brick of wet floral foam, push it down, and it fills it beautifully. Trim it around the outside, and you're all set to go. Whoops. Like that. And then for the candle, this is, you'd only want a 10-inch candle or even an 8 for this, because it's going to be a small arrangement. One friend of Joan's she and Joan made a bunch of these for a seniors' tables for a Christmas last year, and they look very nice, and seniors can take them home, and they cost almost nothing to make. If you're using on foam a candle, you might use a little base if you've got them, but they cost money and you might not be able to find them. So I use longer ones, and I push them right down to the bottom when I'm making mine. And this is the one I'll start with here to make my arrangements with just berries and cones. And this is a 12-inch candle. You put it right in the middle and push it straight in all the way to the bottom. And I do that first because then the stems may hit that, but if I put the stems in first, it would cause the stems to pop all over the place. It's much better to do it first, like that. I was going to show you also that any kind of container, I happen to have the bought plastic container, but anything, this is ideal. Soup bowls or anything at all. Just put them on top to measure and then cut out around, and there you've got the styrofoam all ready to go. Make sure it sticks up above the lip of the bowl so you can put the greenery in around the outside. And this, of course, you want to take back out and soak in water. This is floral foam. It soaks quite quickly, but it absorbs an awful lot of water, and it keeps your greenery fresh until, as I said, March or April. Some people keep it into that long. They can even change their arrangement into something for Easter, or certainly for Valentine's Day, they could add just all white and red. And if you use an odd-shaped bowl with sloping sides and you have to shape it a lot, I use floral tape, but if you could use cut long strips of duct tape, and that would hold it in perfectly. Hold it just like that by taping. As long as you go around the candle, you don't want to hit the candle when you do that. Okay, so we will move on with this one, and I'll show you how it works. So I'm starting with this one here, and I start with the bottom row first, and I build in layers up around. The very first ones, you want nice strong greenery, and I'll show you, you just put it in and slightly up so that it hangs down like that. Now I do have different kinds of greenery that I use. This one here is pine. This is some of the greenery I could use, but if you have mugo pine, which is much smaller, then it is better than this, because you have to really break off the ends to use this kind of pine. I should mention also that if you go to the works yard, to the recycle depot, there are mountains at this time of the year of greenery, and they welcome you to go in there and pick up any different kind that you might want. Now I use that kind. I also use cedar most commonly, and this one here, which I can get off of my walls around here. You can see the hedges, but I know that you could go and pick some on. People don't mind if you prune theirs a little bit, I'm sure. And then a very, very nice one to work with is fir. And this is not noble fir, which is even fancier, but it's certainly nice looking fir. And you could find these definitely over at the works yard. Now, when I was when we went to Jill's house to make table arrangements, she brought a lot of all different kinds of things that you might find in your yard, and we made exotic looking things. They were really popular. People loved them because they were so different. So if you have stuff in your yard, go ahead and use it. That's a good thing to be doing. Now Joan is going to be setting hers up the same way. We just make a circle around, and I have already pre-cut a bunch of these things so that I can use them. A circle around, I should show you. We cut off the piece you want and trim off all of the greenery up for about 3 centimeters or 1 inch. And that way then the plant, it's easier to insert, and the plant can be absorbing water. And so we put these around, just around in that way. I have pre-cut them. This one is a little bit too long to be putting anywhere, so I will cut off the stem a little bit and just trim it like that and put it in around. And if you put them up slightly on an angle, then they'll hang down nicely to the bottom. And another one over here on this side. Then you want to fill in a little bit with corner pieces. This one is quite big. I think it'll be maybe a little bit too long, so I'll trim it as well to put in around here. And another one. I do like to use this fir for the base because it's so strong, and the cedar sort of drapes over top of it and makes it look very attractive. Again, another corner, and this corner here, and I'll end up with 8 different sections to work from. So it looks like a fan, like so. Whoops, sorry about the water. The water will keep coming out because of course you're pushing the stems in. But you do want to keep this moist. If you let it dry out, these will die. So I always put a little sign on mine saying, please keep me well watered. You can put your finger in the bowl and feel the water there. First step we need is to have a number of these larger pine cones that I have put glue gun and put a wire in, and I've made them longer so that they'll slide all the way through and they won't fall out. So between the different bits of greenery, I push those in and bend them down slightly and around. And this is what the basis from what you'll be working on if you make this up the way I have done. Again, another one, and have them sticking out to right to the ends of the greenery so that they'll be visible later on. I usually use about 6 usually. At this stage, 6. So in all you need 12. So getting those out of the park would be easy. They're on the ground. They're very wet, by the way, now. And I was short of them, and I sent my granddaughters down to bring me a bunch of wet ones. Joan told me, put them on a tray in the oven, and in 1 hour at 350, it smelled like chestnuts were roasting. And there were all of them opened up beautifully, just like this. They were beautiful, but they were tight and wet and ugly before, and they come out beautifully. So now I have 6 of these placed around, and I want to start with the berries. The berries that are double are nicest on the bottom, and I've got them wired ready to go, and I just place them in between. You can see how easy this is, and it does look very nice when it's done. Very attractive. And these actually are falling more or less on top of your major first greenery that you put in, so that they really show up very nicely, like so. They do look very nice on top like that. I mean, it's already looking like an awfully nice table arrangement with those things around, like so.
Mm-hmm.
The next stage is to put in another layer of greenery. And this time I would use the cedar because it's soft and it falls nicely. And I have cut them on an angle so they're easier to get in, and peeled off the bottom of each of them. And these then I put on top of the berries and on top of the pine cones, all the way around. It's the second layer that you're making. On top of everything. And they're up above. They're sort of in another layer. They should stick up slightly. I've got them a little bit too tightly down. It's better if they stick up like this. And they also fill in nicely as you work around. This one. And I just carry on the same way on top of the red and on top of the pine cones with a layer of greenery. After you have done this, putting the second row of greenery in, that's when you can put in another layer of little pine cones this time. And I have small ones as well. And the small ones fit very nicely right over top of the red berries. I do a lot of my work in patterns, and I know it's not very free, but it sure makes it easy to put together. And again, another one on top there, and on top there. I would separate them a little bit from the ones down below, but they are just sort of giving another dimension. And I could have put a bit more greenery in here. I was just doing that to save the time, but I think you can see what I'm up to here. I put some more greenery in below so that there's another layer. And then last of all, of course, is to put in the single branches of berries. And they go in on top of the big pine cones below so that they stick out in that direction. So I have one that's finished to that point here. And it looks like this. It has 3 rows, the bottom row of berries and pine cones, plus the bottom greenery. Then a next row of greenery and more pine cones and more berries. And then you can decide. At this stage, after you put in the last row up above, like this, on top of it all, what are you going to do last of all? You can leave it like that and carry on putting in greenery and more berries, or you can use a lantern. Now these are not easy to get anymore. I have to see if they're even available at the wholesaler now, but I have seen them in the secondhand stores because people are getting rid of them. So if you want to use this, you're welcome to it. You just to use it. It's a good idea. It looks very attractive. And so you push it down hard and it's ready to go. You fill in around and it looks very beautiful. I just need a little bit more greenery to fill in. But I'm going to carry on and finish it the other way now. I've got more greenery here. I'll just keep filling in around the outside and right up to the candle. Now when you get to the candle, you want to make sure that you put little ones in around. I usually do this right away so that it looks so it's filled in and then I'm not banging the candle. This is the only difficulty, is if you bang the candle too much, it'll get quite loose. but I'm very careful with that. I guess you learn how to control your hands when you've been doing it for a long time. But I don't bang the candle anymore at all. Now Joan, as you can see, is doing it differently. She glues some of hers on, uses the glue gun, and she's also just being random about where she puts them. And again, she's using the pine cones, she's using red berries, but now she's putting some poinsettias in. And no matter what you do, you cannot ruin it. It always looks good. I like patterns, and in this way I really enjoy creating a pattern, but Joan can do hers more free, and that's good that she's able to handle it that way. So I'll carry on filling this in, and in the end, whoops, see, I banged it. I have to be careful. In the end, I will have it all filled in and looking quite nice. These still, the pine looks really good sticking up because it's a different texture. It's good to have those textures. And I have in the past many times cut this pine off short and shoved it in close around the candle as well. But these little wee pieces, every piece gets to be used because you need smaller pieces around the very top edge of the arrangement. And it gradually fills in. Now when you have got it filled in, of course, that's when I bring out the little birds that I've purchased. People love to have a little bird in their arrangement. And the red ones, the little cardinals look really attractive in these arrangements. They match everything around. They bring out the red. And a red candle is also a nice thing to have here. Red or white people usually want. So to buy the candles are really your only expense. A little bit, the little birds come in packages of 2, and they're on pieces of cardboard. I think I bought almost every one of them. You can get them in pink and blue and purple as well if you want them. But the red ones match very nicely. And I would also take a few more single stems of these berries and put them in wherever you feel that it would be nice to have another one just sticking up in this area around here. Some of my berries are quite small, and those would fit in beautifully at this area because you don't need very much. Now if I were doing a very fancy one, I'd be putting in the little drums or the little boxes, but I have other birds as well that could be used in those. The canary, the cardinal looks very nice here, but if you really need it to be natural, I bought a number of these at the dollar store, and they were 2 for $1.50. And he's much more a natural looking little bird, and he would look very sweet there as well, in amongst the greenery, and he sort of matches the pine cones and looks very good.
I like the red better.
Pardon?
I like the red better.
Yes, the red really shows up, doesn't
does.
it, nicely? That's true.
Very pretty.
So it does. And the cardinal is a very popular figure as well right now. So Jones is coming along nicely, and in between all of the things she's attached or glued on, she's putting in greenery so that it comes out looking beautifully mixed like the very first one that you saw over there. That's the way that we would put them together, but you can see how easy this is, and it's almost all stuff you can find. You don't have to go buy it. So you could go in your yard right now, go to the park and find pine cones and make your own very nicely. You don't have to have the berries, but they do really add. And as I said, just buy them when they're 2 for $1, and they might be all gone now, but I know they're 2 for $1 if there's any left. You can get them in gold or also taupey gold, a very soft gold, and silver and white is very popular. You could see white would work well as well there, and just rip them off and use them. Not expensive, 2 for $2.98, 2 stems for $2.90, $1.40, $1.50 each, which is a good deal. So that is exactly the way I would do it, and I'm hoping that this helps. And I would really like to know that people try it out. It's so simple. Okay, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
And we'll wait and see how Joan is doing. She's doing
Also,
good.
when you're doing it, you can also slide them in sideways so it gives it some different instead of being all the same, so they kind of stick up. And if you were going to do an oval shape, you would make these longer
Oh, yeah.
and then build in so that you could make a longer centerpiece.
Could
Can
even put two candles in
Oh,
beside each other.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
hers is another thing she does. I put mine in flat. She turns hers on an edge, which gives another
So
nice
it's
free
got a-
effect.
You know, different.
Yeah, it does give a different effect.
And to
altogether.
get your shape, then if you put it on the floor and look and see here, I need something coming out here because this is just stuck. So you have to just slide a green in and it'll bring it down. And you have to keep looking because if green's showing, you just take another piece of green and put it in the, kind of fill up the holes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end, just look like I would look from the top here, and I would see if there's something. I could put another piece of greenery right there because it's a little bit lopsided.
Well, thank you so much, Joan and
You're
Pat.
welcome.
You can't believe how little time this took to get these two creations.
And it's fun.
It's
It
fun,
is.
and it's a great way to add absolute cheer to your Christmas table, to your home, and we need that right now. So, thank you so much to Pat and Joan for giving us their time. And I want everybody to understand that we've been very, very safe while we do this. We're happy to see each other, and we're going to make sure that we continue to practice our safe distancing and taking care of each other. We encourage you to give us your feedback. We've had some folks send us pictures of what they've done, so we look forward to that. And we'll let you know in a little while what's coming up next.